if you hear it ringing bells.
Hello, this is a special showing at Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Today is May 29th, 2013, and I'm Larry Rhodes.
And I'm Johannes. And we want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you are not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This show is for them and those curious about a life free of supernatural beliefs.
For over 2 years, a regular time for this show is Tuesdays from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. But because of scheduling of another program this week, we've been preempted. We were preempted last week and this week, but then next week we'll be back on our regular 1 hour full show. That will be Tuesday, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. This is a call-in show. We invite you to start calling anytime. We only have one phone line. The show is a production of the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee, and we welcome your calls.
Yes. Thanks for being with us today. Again, by the way, we'd like to thank our sponsors, who again are the Rationalists of East Tennessee and the Atheist Society of Knoxville. If we can find a paying sponsor, I don't know, how would someone sponsor? Anyway. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun meetup, often at a bar or restaurant. Tuesday's meetup is at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Old City.
Friday, we meet at Beard and Beer Market at about 5:30. To find us, just look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table.
The Rationalists of East Tennessee is also a fun meetup, but it meets at different dates, and it's a different organization. Has monthly activities on the first and third Sunday mornings of each month. They are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussion. The second Sunday of the month is an afternoon book club. June's book is Collapse: How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed by Jared Diamond. The fourth Sunday is the Reflections Gathering, which is a potluck afternoon gathering at a member's home with a discussion topic.
And we will give you the web addresses for these organizations later in the program. Now it's time for In the News. This week, if we have the Vatican confirms atheists are still going to hell, despite what the Pope says. Pope Francis remarked that atheists could probably get into heaven. The Pope's words made headlines around the world after he gave an unprepared speech in which he emphasized the importance of doing good as a principle that unites all of humanity. And I'm with him on that.
Well, I mean, if you want to look at Catholicism, it is a little bit different than a lot of Protestant sects in the sense that they believe the path to heaven is paved by both faith and good works. Others are faith alone as part of the doctrine. So I guess it's not all that unusual to hear it coming out of the Catholic Church, especially with a Jesuit Pope.
Right, but at this particular point, it's only the Pope. The Vatican itself has clarified that atheists will still go to hell if they reject God. After Pope Francis broke with tradition and offered a homily stating that non-believers who do good will be redeemed through Jesus, despite the time delay, here are some of the headlines that have cropped up in the last 24 hours. Atheists still going to hell. Vatican assures Catholics. Atheists are still going to hell, says Vatican spokesman. Catholic Church confirms atheists still going to hell after Pope Francis suggests that they might go to heaven.
Perhaps it's time Pope Francis spoke ex cathedra. He speaks from the throne, thus he can be infallible. Granted, I don't really need the Church's permission to live the way I do, but it'd be nice if Il Papa were to side with us. Really.
Well, this is Vatican itself saying that the Pope is fallible because he spoke and they're saying,
Well, he has to speak from the ex cathedra in order to. I think the last time that happened was in the 1860s, if I'm not wrong. Anyway.
Well, after international media attention, the Vatican attempted to clarify how exactly one gets into heaven. And guess what? It's only through the Church. A Vatican spokesman saying that people who know the Catholic Church cannot be saved if they refuse to enter her or remain in her, referring to the Catholic Church.
There's anyway, language.
Yeah, that is, atheists are still going to hell. However, there's still some hope for the sinful among us, they say, as every man or woman, whatever their situation, can be saved.
Even non-Christians can respond to this saving action of the Spirit. Not to be confused with the superhero, the Holy Spirit. No person is excluded from salvation simply because of so-called original sin. After Pope Francis told the world that even atheists are redeemed, Vatican spokesman Thomas Rosica, I think I pronounced that correctly, has issued a statement that the Pope's words do not mean atheists are saved. They're still going to hell if they do not enter the Catholic Church.
Right. Whatever. I'm not worried about it. Are you, Johannes?
Not in the slightest.
No. I'm no more worried about it than Catholics are worried that they'll end up in the Islamic hell, or that they will be barred from Valhalla after the last great battle of Ragnarok. You want to take the next one?
Sure. Faith-healing churches linked to 24 child deaths. 2 Philadelphia faith-healing churches have a long history of the youngest members of their congregation dying because parents refused medical care. NBC 10 learns a local faith-healing couple has a history of child deaths. These 2 members are in jail right now, accused of letting their baby die without medical care.
How many children are we going to allow as a society to die because people refuse to take them to the doctor?
That's a great question. We have a caller. Hello, caller.
Welcome to Freethought Forum. May we have a name or a nickname?
Well, hello, this is Faithless Forrest. Sorry I can't be with you guys on the air today, but I heard you talking about Pope Francis and his, how should we say, more charitable worldview than apparently the church that he heads up. And I certainly wanted to say when I saw those headlines, I was reminded of how, so often, well-meaning Christians will pick and choose the best part of their theology, and he appears to be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be selling much of the theology itself right now. Ever since he's been Pope, he's pretty much been just spreading good feelings around. Well, I can't fault him for that. That's great.
Well, and in that sense, he's being a humanist. I guess that somehow the Vatican somehow kind of overruled him. It struck me as if he's supposed to be the one speaking the infallible one. It seems a little funny that they can correct his message.
Yeah.
But perhaps that will undermine the credibility of the church in some of their followers in an important way.
Even more than it has been with all the other issues that are going on with the church right now. So
I
true.
should note, infallibility only derives under certain circumstances under Vatican law. There are only specific circumstances. Not every utterance of the popes is holy or infallible.
How can they determine?
Would an utterance, Johannes, would an utterance though regarding who goes to an afterlife and is rewarded for how they live, wouldn't that be within his purview to be infallible?
There's procedure for this. He might be heir to the throne of St. Peter. He might have the blessings of Christ himself as the one to lead his church on earth, but that doesn't mean he's exempt from the rules. But yes, there are rules for this, and they don't apply universally.
It's rules that make him infallible?
There are procedures to speak infallibly, not necessarily that he is consistently and always infallible. It's a really fascinating thing. That's kind of the, how do I put this? That's a defining feature of Catholicism. There are rules. There's a bureaucracy. You can't just be cleansed of sin. You must go see the Father. You must confess. You must be given penance.
Can we say that these rules were handed down by committee or directly from God?
Did you ask the committee if they were handed down by God? Because I know their answer.
We speak for God.
Their answer? Share it with us.
Mm-hmm.
The committee would tell you it was handed down by God.
All right.
No.
Well, but nevertheless, it strikes me as a return to a more liberal position that I thought of the Catholic Church as holding when I was younger, in the late 60s and early 70s, where it felt like in many instances they were on the side of progressive change. That sort of seems to have slipped away in the 80s and 90s, and, well, goodness, the last election cycle especially.
Yeah. Well, I hope that this Pope will take some matters into his own hands about this condemning birth control and condoms and not shielding pedophiles. He's yet to make any kind of action in that direction.
Yeah, well, we can hope, but I guess the action depends upon him.
Right.
Well, I hope to get some more callers. Let me clear the line, and there's hopefully plenty of people seeing us for the first time.
Right.
Bye for now.
Okay. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Forrest. Yes, on the nature, on the subject of specifically condoms, not necessarily non-barrier contraceptives, going back to the faith healing. It is disturbing how religious organizations and non-religious organizations will deny the efficacy of medicine to save lives in the name of religious doctrine or even just unsubstantiated belief. Anti-vaxxers, Jenny McCarthy and her ilk have a body count. It's a very real thing. We're seeing the return of measles among
and with
populations
diseases,
of
that body count can grow exponentially.
Exactly.
The potential's there.
And of course, condoms with HIV in Africa. These are problems.
Another thing about infallibility of the Pope, well, I lost my train of thought and all that, so we'll move on. Families who attend the Faith Tabernacle Congregation of North Philadelphia and First Century Gospel Church in Winyata Park, sounds good,
have lost more than 24 children to illnesses since 1971. According to nonprofit Children's Healthcare is a legal duty incorporated, Child Incorporated. Wow, that's a mouthful. That's a backronym if I've ever seen one.
That's a good one.
Both churches believe in the power of prayer over modern medicine.
And the thing about it is, this makes it dependent on the person praying too. If your child does not get better, then you're a dirty sinner. It's blame the victim type of psychology.
Oh yeah.
It's never God's fault. It's always the person who hasn't prayed hard enough or been a good enough person that caused their child to die. Thanks for calling Freethought Forum. May we have a name or a nickname?
Richard.
Hello, Richard. Trying to get your volume up a little bit here. Did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I do. I'm in love with my sister. I'm wondering if that's a problem.
It can be a problem genetically speaking.
Problem for society, and we'll let that one go. The Shables are one of these families who lost a child in these churches. Herman and Catherine Shaburn stand charged with third-degree murder and other crimes after their 7-month-old Brandon died from bacterial pneumonia, dehydration, and a Group B streptococcus infection on April 18th. The Philadelphia District Attorney Seth Williams says the boy's death could have been prevented, but instead the couple turned to prayer, and now the boy is dead.
You gotta thank the Lord, CNN reporter Wolf Blitzer said to an Oklahoma tornado survivor as she cradled her toddler, surrounded by the ruins of her street and home. Following an awkward pause, the woman revealed she is an atheist. The veteran CNN journalist was interviewing Rebecca Vitzman?
There she is, if you could lean over a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Vitzman?
There. Yep. Who fled her home with her 19-month-old son just before the tornado and more flattened her home. Speaking to Vitzman, he said, "We're happy you're here. You guys did a great job. You've got to thank the Lord, right? Do you thank the Lord for that split-second decision?" It might be the first time Vitzman smiled since losing her entire home. I'm actually an atheist, she said, laughing off the awkward moment. You are, all right, but you made the right call, Blitzer said. We are here, and I don't blame anyone for thanking the Lord, Vitzman said. Her young son also seemed less than interested in religiosity, preferring to play with Blitzer's microphone, refusing to hand it back over to the beleaguered reporter.
Yeah. Since this broadcast, Rebecca Vitzman, the Oklahoma tornado survivor who told CNN, Wolf Blitzer, that she was an atheist, she's going to be receiving tens of thousands of dollars in donations from the secular community, who decided to support her for speaking out for her about her non-belief. It's important that our community shows that we have your back when you come out publicly as an atheist, the Indiegogo Internet Community Atheists United stated. Let's show the world that we don't need to believe in God to have good human compassion, nor does all charity fall under the banner of religion. Let's get this courageous woman and her family back into her home. This story was picked up by a number of news organizations, and the secular community has said that it was glad to see atheists being recognized in the wake of the tragedy which killed 24 people. Starting with the goal of $50,000, Indiegogo users have so far raised nearly $100,000 in support of Vitzman. Let's go to our break.
Yes.
Okay. Second break. If you want to call in, now's a good time, or anytime, I guess, after this break. The number's on the screen, and feel free to call us and chat with us.
Yes, this is a call-in show.
Right. In case you're just tuning in, this is a special showing of Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded by them and by individual contributions. Shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Community Access Television, Comcast Channel 12. Tell your out-of-town friends that they can see us streaming online at ctvknox.org.
Again, this is a call-in show, live today, May 29th, 2013. And viewers can call now to the number on the screen with a short comment or question. Call in now while we go to an informative break.
Can we show the videos, please?
If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org.
Thanks for calling Freethought Forum. May we have a name or a nickname, please?
Drew?
Drew? Sorry, we're trying to get you dialed in here.
Did you say Drew?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a comment or question for us?
Yes. I watch a ton of gay porn.
Of what?
Is that it? I watch a ton of gay porn.
That's your choice. The media you consume is entirely up to you. It's not anyone's business, so long as it's not produced, no one is harmed in the production process.
It's free country, too. The Rationalists of East Tennessee have Sunday activities involving lively presentations and discussions of subjects topical and timeless. Once a month they get together for a book club. You do not have to have read the book to attend, but of course it helps. Visit rationalist.org to find them. June's book is Collapse, How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed by Jared Diamond.
Yes. Both the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee help provide a social outlet where you'll find that if you don't believe in God, you are not alone.
Okay, catching up on the news.
Yes.
Thank you, Alton Lemon. We can have that video. In 1968, the state of Pennsylvania enacted a law that subsidized private religious schools with taxpayer dollars. The following year, a civil rights activist with degrees in mathematics and social work, Alton Lemon, joined a lawsuit challenging the statute for violating the Constitution's prohibition against establishment of religion. In 1971, the Supreme Court heard the case Lemon versus Kurtzman and struck down the law, establishing what has become known as the Lemon Test. That decision continues to serve as a keystone for subsequent decisions that have reinforced the principle of separation between the church and state.
And we have a caller, I think.
Alton Lemon died earlier this month on May 4th at the age of 84. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
All right. Hello, caller. May we have a name or nickname?
My name is Matt.
Yes, Matt. Do you have something sordid to tell us?
Can you turn it up?
If I watch a ton of gay porn and jerk off like 15 times a day,
Well, the redness can become a problem. Also, soreness. I would recommend some kind of corticosteroid to prevent inflammation and swelling.
Alton Lemon received the Freedom from Religion's First Amendment Hero Award. The Lemon test has been invoked in several high-profile Supreme Court cases concerning the Establishment Clause or First Amendment, including cases restricting prayer at graduation ceremonies, prayer at school functions, and on the public displays of religious symbols. The test was also used by Judge Jones III in his decision in the famous intelligent design case in Dover, Pennsylvania, in which a school's teaching of the thinly veiled version of creationism was challenged and defeated in federal court. Would you like to read the points of the Lemon decision?
The Lemon test is as follows. 1. A law or decree must have a secular legislative purpose. 2. Its principal or primary effect must neither advance nor inhibit religion. Number 3, it must not foster excessive entanglement between government and religion.
Right. That's one of the reasons we should not have "In God We Trust" on the money. That's an entanglement of religion with the government printing of money. It fails the second, first and second. Actually, it fails all three. It's a law or decree that does not have a secular legislative purpose. Its principal or primary effect advances religion. It does foster excessive entanglement between government and religion. It should be outlawed on any of those three grounds. But of
I am
course
a fan of Ben Franklin's original "In God We Trust." All others must pay cash.
Works for me.
Yes. Press release: Atheists to unveil Florida courthouse monument. A stone bench featuring secular quotes will sit beside religious tribute. And in Crawford, New Jersey, following a settlement with Bradford County, Florida, American Atheists will unveil a new monument in front of the Bradford County Courthouse, a 1,500-pound granite bench engraved with quotations from Thomas Jefferson, Madeline Murray O'Hare, Benjamin Franklin, and others. The bench will sit adjacent to an existing monument featuring the Ten Commandments. The unveiling is scheduled for June 29th at noon. It is the first atheist-sponsored monument on government property in the United States. American Atheist President David Silverman will deliver the dedication. The monument features an excerpt from the Treaty of Tripoli signed by President John Adams, our second president, which declares the United States is in no sense founded on the Christian religion, end quote, and excerpts from the Bible quoting the biblical punishments for breaking each of the Ten Commandments. Many command death. American Atheist, along with plaintiff David Cooney of Stark, filed suit in May 2012 for the removal of the Ten Commandments monument, citing separation of religion and government because the monument is on government land. Quote, "We have maintained from the beginning that the Ten Commandments doesn't belong on government property," end quote, said Silverman. There is no secular purpose for the monument whatsoever, and it makes atheists feel like second-class citizens. But if keeping it there means we have the right to install our own monument, then installing our own is exactly what we'll do. I should emphasize that I guess an atheist monument isn't necessarily a monument to a given set of philosophies. Atheism is not a set philosophy. It doesn't mean you have to come to the meetups. It doesn't mean you have a church. It doesn't mean you have a set or given ideology. There are plenty of varieties of atheists. It simply means that you do not believe in God or gods. Hence, one could almost consider nearly every monument in the United States that isn't religious to be an atheist monument, or rather a secular monument. I think it's best if we call this a secular monument,
it's a good point,
not an atheist monument.
Right, and it's a good point to say right now that atheism does not make any claims about God. Atheism does not say there is no God. Atheism merely says we don't believe it, or that we have not found any claims for God to be justifiable. That's it. Atheism makes no positive claims at all. The Bible quote, the monument emphasizes the role secularism has played in American history, said Public Relations Director Dave Moscato. And the Bible quotes make it clear the Ten Commandments are not the great moral code that they're often portrayed to be. Don't kill, don't steal, of course, but every religion and every society in the world has those two. But only worship the Judeo-Christian God? That conflicts overtly with the very first right in the Bill of Rights, freedom of religion. When it comes to government and religion, there are only two ways to show equality, all or none, said Dave Luukinen, a regional director, operations director. I'm glad that Bradford County has chosen to show equality, and it will be a great example for other cities in Florida and in the United States. Immediately following the unveiling, a public celebration sponsored by the Tallahassee Atheists and Humanists of Florida and the Florida Atheists and Secular Humanists, Flash, is scheduled to take place at the day's end by the courthouse in Temple Avenue, Starkey, Florida. Again, this call-in show, we just have a few more minutes. We invite most anybody to call in. We've got at least a couple minutes to talk to them.
Even if it's a prank call, we give very relevant medical advice.
One of the things that we wanted to talk about, we don't really have much time to get into it now, but are irrational dichotomies. Irrational dichotomies, I've got a slide for that, I believe. Sometimes a person is exposed to evidence which runs counter to the previously held notions of reality. They then hold an irrational or contradictory dichotomy of ideas within their mind that must eventually be resolved. This is uncomfortable and often distressing time, and if left unresolved and for an extended period, can lead to mental distress. Christians, and indeed most religious adherents fall into this group as they are told to believe one set of ideas and then are exposed to contradictory evidence from reality and scientific articles, documentaries, news programs, and teachers or close friends.
And they are not allowed to resolve these dichotomies
right.
because their holy book is supposedly the unchanging word of the perfect God.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be wrong. Let us begin. As a Christian,
you must believe that you have to maintain a loving relationship with Jesus Christ and God Himself. And if you don't, you're in danger of eternal damnation.
However,
go ahead.
You can neither see nor hear the very entities with whom you're supposed to build a relationship. Relationships require a give and take of opinions which you literally cannot accomplish. Although if you do hear God, the mental distress is far more severe than...
Seek immediate help.
Yes.
You believe that you are the wonderful special creation of a perfect God, giving reign over all of the creatures on earth and dominion over the earth itself.
But you also believe that you're born a deeply flawed and dirty sinner, like our frequent caller.
Yeah.
A pitiful creature deserving of hellfire for the disobedience of your first ancestor. You must believe you are sin incarnate and only redeemable by the grace of God, which is only good until your next sinful act.
Mm-hmm. You must believe that God is an all-powerful and perfect being, and if God wills it, it must be so.
But you also know of His many, many plans that have failed. The Bible is filled with them. The Garden of Eden, we wound up eating the fruit. The Great Flood, evil still exists. Always been here. I don't think it's going away. The Tower of Babel. Notice our buildings are much taller now, and most of the world has a common language, English. It's the best language. And on and on and on.
We've got several. You can think of your own. If you think of some, save them for another show. Call in. We'll discuss them. We'd be happy to. We've only got about a minute left in the show, so we're thinking about winding it on down. Get out your pen and paper, and we'll give you the addresses now. This has been a Freethought Forum program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. You can go to the Atheist Society online at knoxvilleatheists.org and the Rationalists of East Tennessee by going to rationalists.org.
Please send us feedback for the show. Leave a voicemail at 865-272-9060 or at Freethought Forum, all one word, at yahoo.com.
And you can see this show regularly on Tuesdays from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, and on this Knoxville station, Comcast Channel 12, or streaming at ctvknox.org.
We'd like to remind you that you're not alone. Also, please attend the meetups. Tuesdays at 5:30 at Barley's in the Old City, and Fridays at 5:30 at the Beard and Beer Garden.
You are not alone.